Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Weekly Oscar Talk 29, I believe. Getting into the heat of the season. It's October. Yeah, the festivals are pretty much over, but we've got a lot to talk about still. And I'm joined by Anthony, as always, to do so.
Hello, everyone.
So, starting off with the news items of the week. Biggest news item, Apple TV Plus. We've been wondering, well, what are they going to do now that Killers of the Flower Moon is not going to release this year? And they made up their mind. They decided that they are going to release Emancipation this upcoming December. I believe on Apple TV. I don't think it's getting a theatrical release. But the Will Smith movie about slavery. Uh, and yeah, they also released a trailer for it. And it seems like it's going to be their big awards push. They also screened the movie somewhere in LA, I forget where, and seem to have gotten pretty good reactions from it. So what do you make of this? Is this going to take one of those last picture spots? Is Apple TV? I mean, they got Coda last year, so they're truly going to push, I would think. But I mean, Best Actor is open as well, but I don't know about that. What do you think?
Yeah, I interpret this move as one of two things. The first is the less likely, which is that they don't have confidence in the movie and therefore are just shunting it to this season because they feel that they can just say, "Oh, it was the controversy that derailed it," and then they
Mm.
don't have it doesn't have to look bad as if it was a traditional year and the movie flopped. That's a possible reason for its inclusion here and the fast tracking of it being implemented into this season. What I think is probably more likely is Apple knows that it's, other contenders, Causeway with Jennifer Lawrence, which we just saw a trailer for, and it looks good. She's wonderful, but it's a very low energy film,
It's
very
not a
receptive.
picture contender.
Yeah, it's, listen, it's I'm not going to say it's not worthy in any category. We haven't seen it
No,
yet. It's definitely not a film that's going to, attract a lot of attention for itself.
yeah, won't
And
be
I
widely seen.
Yes, so the thing with Emancipation is that that is one that will get a lot of attention towards it. And I think
Mm.
Apple may be following the Green Book or the Bohemian Rhapsody campaign of any news is good news because it means you're getting talked about. Because this is the other thing. We it's been a couple of months, since the whole slap hurled.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
And listen, if the performance, this is okay, personally, like I think that the issue with what happened with that event, and we won't relitigate it too much, but I think
Mm,
it's
please
necessary
no.
conversation. The
Yes.
issue with that event, as we talked about, was the handling of it during the ceremony. It's the fact that
Hmm.
nothing was happening during and that he was able to give that speech. I really don't think we should be holding on to ultimatums now. He himself said, I won't be a part of the academy, but I don't think that should stop him if he's delivering good work in this film, as the rumors seem to be true. So, yeah, I personally feel that if the film is worthy, which it seems that there seems to be some buzz, let's see what Apple's got. Given how barren the best actor race is, and that this, if it's a great performance, it's not the worst bet to be made. I mean, he could get in, and we'll see
Good.
about the rest of the movie. I have doubt just because I don't think Antoine Fuqua has necessarily made a movie
No,
before.
the
But
reactions did say that it was his best yet, though. So that is a good sign.
you have that. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But I definitely think Apple is betting on the excitement surrounding the movie, hope bringing people in, and then hoping that the quality of the film then leads them to the Oscar stage. It's not the worst play. I think it's definitely a better strategy than anything I see Netflix doing currently. So
Yeah.
it's I think for streamers, it could work in their favor. It's interesting to see if, given what happened in with the slap, if people are now like ready to move on or if they're still holding grudges. I am interested to see now what has happened, especially given if this movie starts to get traction. What does Chris Rock say? Because the press will ask him his opinion of it. There's a lot of baggage this film holds, but again, as I said, all news could be good news as far as getting the film seen. Because as we've seen, the Academy is just going to vote for what they like. They're not swayed by this social justice that Twitter thinks they are.
Yeah, yeah. Variety, I think it was Variety. One of the trades did post an interesting article where they interviewed members of the Academy, I believe 20 or so, all different branches, and got like if asked them if they would vote for Will Smith, and it was pretty split 50-50. The people who would say yes were just saying if he delivers a worthy performance and the movie is good enough, I would vote for him. And some people just on their high horses saying, no, what he did was a disgrace to the Oscars and the ceremony, and he does not deserve to be voted for. So I think there will be some people, because Will Smith, I mean, it was bad what he did, but let's be honest, there are people who have done much worse who are still working in Hollywood who may have just released a movie this past weekend, still getting work. And it's just slapping someone is not comparable to what some of these other people still working have done. So I don't think he deserves to be blacklisted or shunned. But I do think, I don't know how, I think there will be people who are like kind of like rooting for him, as we saw just in the moment during the ceremony, like Denzel and I think Tyler Perry went over to him afterwards. So I think there are people definitely within the Academy who are like, it's wrong, like that he's kind of been, he's not fully blacklisted, but he's kind of being like, a few of his movies have been like, probably not gonna happen now. So I do think there are people who want to like show support for him. Seems like he's giving a good performance based on the reactions. Um, so I do think I could see a world where he sneaks in the like fifth spot, but right now I would say no, just because that's a lot of baggage still currently. I could see a side ceremony like the Golden Globes probably going for something like that. That
Yeah,
seems like something they would do.
I think
Um,
this could be like their Sia's music of like, whoa, it's the thing that
yeah,
gets talking about the Golden Globes, but only happens at the Golden Globes.
and we'd see if he would attend. I don't know because he's not banned from any of the Golden Globes. I wouldn't think.
That's
But
interesting.
yeah, it's an interesting scenario for sure. We'll have to see how it plays out, not releasing until December, but I am glad that Apple um, picked a front runner to push. I mean, I think this is the only one that was actually going to be ready in time. I think Killers of the Flower Moon and Napoleon would not have been ready in time. But unlike Netflix, they have a main movie that they're pushing. Right now, Netflix, who knows what they're going to be pushing? It seems like they still haven't made up their mind and they're going to have to do so soon. But yeah, I think this is really also nomination wise, really just Will Smith. I can't really see anything else getting
We're
in
gonna
there.
get into it as far as the tech field. It is so competitive this year that I agree. I don't think this is a Will Smith or bust, which
Yeah. There's
hurt
no
it.
other big performances that I see potentially getting in there. I think Ben Foster's in the movie, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like if the movie was an overall player, then maybe he could come along for the ride. But given it's just going to be him, I think then it's just going to be the Will Smith vehicle, and then it just whether you want to engage with this movie or not is based on how you feel about Will Smith, and that's a hard for
It's very mixed.
it's a very complex situation, but it's one that I'm interested to see how it pans out.
Yeah, yeah. And side note, the cinematography and color grading choices in the trailer I found interesting. I'm not sure what quite they're going for, but I appreciate the boldness, I guess. Yeah, so that's the main news item. Other news items. So she said, New York Film Festival currently going on. She said we'll be premiering their time of recording, I believe, in 3 or 4 days, 3 days from now, on the 12th. But there has been some spattering of buzz in the online sphere, with people saying that the movie is pretty good, but that Carey Mulligan in particular is the acting standout, and that she will be running in
Surprise,
supporting.
surprise.
She is an incredible actress, yeah, but people are saying that she's like really good in this and that she's the acting standout. She'll be running supporting. So
Good.
I think if the movie is a big contender, or I think she could also get him even if the movie isn't a big contender. But I mean, we're looking for a front runner in supporting actress right now, just because that women talking vote split could very much be a thing. I still have Claire Foy #1, but if this movie is strong, as these reactions, I mean, these are not confirmed things. This is just like rumors and but I consider it pretty reliable because I know people have already seen the movie because press has already seen most of the New York Film Festival films. So yeah, I think she'll probably get into supporting. I would have her in there right now. Win wise, I don't know. What are you making of She Said at this current moment, a few days before we get full reactions?
I mean, we'll have to wait ultimately for what the reactions are to this film. I think that I've always pegged this film as this season's bombshell, just because from the trailers it doesn't look to be necessarily completely cinematic, and so it's going to survive on its screenplay. And if the screenplay leans too much into activism and forgets how to tell a story, then it could falter. But if it remembers to keep the story front and center, and you have great actors like Zoe Kazan and Carey Mulligan in your ensemble, it could do well. I think it could also do well because we have a lot of very technical films, even the ones that aren't the franchise work, the sequels. You have films like Babylon, and you have films like All Quiet on the Western Front, Elvis. These are big technical achievements, and I think there's definitely going to be contingent. I think the writers, the actors, they're going to want something that's a little bit more subdued, a little bit more talky, because that's just a certain subsect, that's their taste of what they see as film. I remember I'm a fan of the formerly What the Flick, now the Breakfast All Day podcast, which if you don't follow, go follow them. They're wonderful people. And I remember when they were doing their best of 2015, two of the hosts picked Spotlight and two of the hosts picked Mad Max for the best film of that year. And the one person picked Spotlight. Yeah, very different. And Ben Mankiewicz picked Spotlight and said to his co-host that the only thing that kept Mad Max from the top was just like they didn't talk enough. And so I do think that there will be a certain part of the nominating body that will want a film like she said if it delivers, and I think it could. I'm still worried about, again, just the Harvey Weinstein of it all. Will people get into this movie? Because you really need the passion, and are people going to be passionate to vote for this only 5 years after the Me Too movement started? But it could happen, and I definitely agree with your conjecture that Carey Mulligan could split the women talking women and could go along to win, because I also think then you have a scenario which is not uncommon, which is winning an Oscar very recently after the film that you probably should have won for.
Yeah.
And despite me thinking that Frances McDormand is completely deserved in her win for Nomadland,
Vanessa Kirby deserved that Oscar, in my opinion.
we all have our favorites. I'm sure people in the comments are like Viola Davis or Andre Day or Carey Mulligan.
People are saying Andre Day.
Everyone
else, yes.
Andre
Day. They did. Oh, those Globes.
All those Globes. But Carey Mulligan, I think it's safe to say that Promising Young Woman is her most iconic performance and probably her most well known. And so I think that maybe Daisy as well in The Great Gatsby with Baz Luhrmann. But both good. But I think that this will be very close to that. The same way, speaking of Great Gatsby, that Leonardo DiCaprio wins for The Revenant right after his nomination for The Wolf of Wall Street. So I think that she could go down that path, split the votes between Claire Foy and Jessie Buckley. And yeah, knock out. I put in Jean Smart for Babylon. I think she could probably take that slot and then maybe go all the way to a win. But the other thing we also have to remember with supporting actress is that it's not a done deal that Michelle Williams will be approved for lead. The Academy may still shunt her to supporting actress. And we've also, let's see how Babylon goes. There's a lot of questionables supporting. Carrie Condon could become a force if Banshees really hits. So it's interesting, but I do think that the fact that there is buzz on something like She Said is good, because it's going to need that buzz to solidify its campaign.
Yeah. And seems like this, in their most recent update, The Hollywood Reporter placed Margot Robbie in supporting for Babylon. So who knows if they have any insider news there, if that's just a guess. I hope she stays lead, just because that's very obvious category fraud. And I don't know. I'm feeling like we should have an actual supporting performance, and it would kind of probably be an easy win for her. And I want some fun competition. But yeah, She Said, I've got faith in getting, I think, at least an adapted screenplay nomination, because that category is empty. And I think then Carey Mulligan can come along with it. Win-wise, possible. If not, she's got Maestro next year with Bradley Cooper, so she could also win for that. But yeah, we shall see. It premieres very soon. And yeah, that is that. Lastly, quick item of news. Glass Onion is getting a theatrical release. Netflix is releasing it over Thanksgiving in 600 theaters before it is available on streaming at the end of December. So there's a good like almost month period there, where if you didn't see it in theaters, you're gonna have to wait to see it on streaming. And it is also a murder mystery, so there are spoilers about. So I do think this could do pretty well over Thanksgiving. And this is something Netflix has not done with any of their previous movies, none of their previous Oscar contenders. This is a pretty big deal for Netflix. Do you think this kind of shows their hand that this is what they consider their biggest contender, or is this more of a commercial play, a mix of both?
I think it's a mix of both. I think it's going to up the awareness of this film. I think this is them truly testing the boundaries of what they can do as a studio, because I do think this is the future for Netflix. I think they're going to just have to acknowledge that to survive, they need to fall back on traditional distribution. I think that we're getting to a point where we're going to go back to either a balance of what we used to have in streaming. It's not going to be so dominated with streaming, because I do think that there's just so much money. I mean, you pay as much for Disney Plus in a month that you pay for one screening to see Black Panther Wakanda Forever in IMAX. So like I feel like the theaters will probably start to become completely premium, and like put like, instead of 20 regular screens, there'll be like maybe 10 IMAX screens, or 5 IMAX, 5 Dolby, something like that. And I think that Netflix is aware that they have a lot of content that is great for this big screen, and they want to make sure that they can still support their subscribers. What I've always said is that I think they should run their own A-list, and that if you can link your Netflix account to whatever ticketing service, or you have a Netflix, like you get a little card and you get like one screening to see a Netflix movie in theaters. I think that would be, they do it in the same way that AMC A-List does. If they're worried about dissatisfying their Netflix subscribers by releasing these movies in theaters, or any episodes in theaters, I think there's a possibility as well. Do that. I think that's a solve for them. Because I do think that this is probably a smart move. Thanksgiving's a great time to release this. I think we've talked about, like, I don't think it has a really strong chance at Oscars, but I do think this is, again, it's just, they put so much money into this. It's worthy of a theatrical release. And, hopefully it gets this week, but then maybe they bring it back, given how popular it is. I'm interested to see how this works out for them.
Yeah, I am very curious to see. I think it'll do well money-wise. I'm just also curious to see, they have to start campaigning movies soon, and they're going to have to really start picking their favorites. I know they usually campaign multiple movies, but I think this year in particular, when you don't have as strong of contenders all around, you really need to focus on one. I just don't think Glass Onion should be the movie you do that with. That is a sequel to a movie that didn't get into Best Picture. That is just, it doesn't scream Oscar pedigree when the Oscar voters think of what they're voting for the best of the year. I really don't think people are going to be thinking about Glass Onion, but that's just me. I think people would think about maybe All Quiet on the Western Front, or Bardo could have a resurgence. We'll see, but I personally would not back Glass Onion on this. But
because I even
we'll see
like
what they
think
do.
about, like in 2020, I don't think this would have made a dent either. Like the
No,
year
2020 was surprisingly strong. I like that lineup a lot.
like if Glass Onion can't succeed in a year where there were no crowd pleasing blockbusters and everything was streaming, and in my mind it can't crack that list. There's no way it's cracking this list. So yeah, I think they want to just, I think what Netflix wants to make sure is that Knives Out is looked at as a hit franchise, and this is a step towards that. And I think, I'm at least looking forward to seeing it in theaters, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are as well. It was a lot of fun seeing that first one in theaters.
Yeah, and I definitely don't want the killer spoiled. I got the killer spoiled for the first one. I'm not gonna have it happen for the second one.
I mean, listen, spoilers for the first one, but you usually can tell who the killer is based on who's in the cast. Because, like, I remember, okay, this is a spoiler for.
Well, who's the killer for the second one then?
Well, I listen, because I don't know, but if I say my guesses, then people are gonna be like, "How did you know that? You ruined the movie."
No.
But
it's just a guess.
I remember with Scream Queen season 1, I was like, because they're like, who's the killer? I was like, it's Leah Michelle. Leah Michelle doesn't do another Ryan Murphy show unless she's the star. And of course, she was, the killer. Same thing with the first one. Like, this is his first role after Captain America. He is the killer. Of course he is. Like, you just got to think about like the story and like who's on the poster and stuff. It's
I can't
always
figure
fun.
that out for the second one though. Maybe
Uh,
Edward Norton,
well,
maybe
nobody's on the poster, so we can't tell.
Yeah.
It's just him. At least the poster they've released.
maybe he's the killer then. What a
I've,
twist.
I've thought of that. I think
That's not
whenever the
gonna happen.
last Knives Out movie is, I think it might be that Benoit Blanc is the killer and he has to try and use that'd be
Save
so.
himself.
If he doesn't do that, I'm writing that script of the detective who tries to prove that he's not the killer. That'd be such a good twist.
It
I
would be.
mean, listen, I really don't care who is the villain or not. I'm here for Catherine Hahn on a boat.
I think
That's
it
all
could
I
be her.
maybe. Yeah. I feel like
Have a little Agatha all along at the end.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe we'll see. It doesn't matter. I'm happy she's in this movie.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
But yeah, that's really all for the news items this week. Trailers, we already mentioned them. Causeway had a trailer release, looks good. We already mentioned Emancipation. There was a New the Sun trailer that came out if you want to get a better look at that movie, but Oscar wise, I don't know about that. Bones and All had a trailer, didn't watch it. I'm already sold. And Black Panther had a trailer, which didn't really do much to change it for me prediction wise. Maybe it bumped Angela Bassett up just a little bit more because it does look like she has a decent amount to work with in the movie.
I do believe that's the same scene though that we saw. Oh wait, no, it's not because we saw we heard the line from the first trailer where she goes,
That was in the throne room, yeah.
I am the queen of the most powerful. Yeah, but we saw her walking into that
The
room.
UN
Yeah,
organization,
so,
yeah.
that's true. But so that is two separate scenes. Yeah, listen, again, she could
She's
then
in my 5 or my 6 to 10. She's not in there right now,
she's in
but
my
she's
6 to 10. I think she'd probably be on the bubble with Jean Smart and Carey Mulligan now. Like they're all fighting for that last spot. She could. I mean, she's, such a journeywoman actress. She's an incredible talent. And if she is, as I said before, had this not be a Marvel movie, you hear her character's story, that seems like the story of a African queen who takes over when her son tragically dies and tries to keep the nation together. Like that seems like a great role that could win you an Oscar. So I think we'll just see how much of her is in the movie. But yeah, I think this trailer, I was talking about it with a friend last night. It sells that this is not just going to be a depressing movie or an emotional movie that it will make it, too emotional to connect with. It's going to be a fun film, and I think it needs that because for 2 hours and 40 minutes, you got to remind the audience you're going to have a good time, and I think that's what this trailer was meant to do, and I think it succeeds in doing that.
agreed. Still shorter than Avatar, so it's got a better shot.
From what we hear, he says it's near 3 hours. For the love of Christ,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to both. I think
I am looking forward to both, but the
rare
only
blockbusters I'm excited for.
when they re-released the Avatar 2009 and I went to see it in IMAX 3D, the frame rate was like really intense and it was like taking me out of experiencing it. But I also think that like the technology has gotten better, so I think the way the camera moves through the visual effects will be good. Yeah, I'm still interested. I think Avatar, the first one, was such a technical marvel to not link the two. But I wonder, like, is the water effects enough? Because what will that movie be nominated for if not for the underwater? Because we've already honored it for creating Pandora, and we're not going to be honoring it for story. So it's just going to be the water is really going to make or break the movie. We could be surprised. It could be a great story, as I've said before. Never doubt James Cameron, especially when he's doing a sequel. But I am interested. I feel like people are supporting Avatar more so because it's James Cameron and because of the first one. But on paper, this doesn't feel like an Oscar movie. This feels like just like
it could be. It could be.
It could be, but
let's see what technical nominations we think it will end up getting.
nice
Segue into our main topic, where a few weeks ago we did our predictions for the Oscars in the above the line categories. didn't have time for the technical categories. So now we are going to dedicate this section to all those awesome, just as worthy technical categories. Starting it off with best cinematography, which I believe the first Avatar won.
Did, yes.
So do you have
Mario
it getting nominated here?
Fiore, who also shot Spider-Man No Way Home.
Ah,
Yeah, some
interesting.
fun fact. Is Avatar on my list? It is because it won for the first one.
Mm,
And I also think that there's not a distinction, as we saw with 1917. Like 1917 should have won best film editing because that was the visual effect instead of best visual effects. So even though this is
true.
probably best cinematography, really this should just be like bolstering the visual effects nomination.
Yeah.
Because listen, I don't know how much they
It's mostly
filmed.
a blue screen when they actually shoot
Exactly.
it.
So like, and listen, I have another blue green screen contender among my five, but I just think I'm interested to see what people would say the cinematography is worthy and where the visual effects is worthy, even though I know framing the shot, the movement, all that jazz
Yeah.
is important. But I do have it in my list, along with Babylon, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, The Fablemans, and Empire of Light.
Interesting. I've got a bit of a different list. I've got Babylon, number one. I think that's probably going to win. I think that movie, I can take my belief in it having the Mank narrative continues each day and Mank one cinematography. So I think it'll get that. Number two, Fablemans. It's Janusz Kaminski. I always mispronounce his name, but looks well shot. Number three, Top Gun Maverick. I think that's gonna happen.
Wow.
I
Okay.
think that's gonna happen. I mean, it's very well shot. I think they can start a good campaign for it. I forget who the cinematographer is, but I'm pretty sure he's been nominated before.
Claudio Miranda.
Yeah, and I think it's one of your like top six picture contenders. So yeah, I think that's gonna happen.
I think it's a top five picture contender.
Yeah, even better. So then yeah, and then number four, All Quiet on the Western Front. I think,
I
just
told
like
you that one.
1917. I mean, based on the trailer, it looks very well shot. It's going to be a war movie. From the reactions, it seemed like lots of people love the cinematography. I've also got it in picture, and director. So I think that links up pretty well for me personally. The number five, you know, a lot of these branches, they have people who they vote for no matter what, just because it's a branch favorite. Even though I don't think this movie has much Oscar potential, I've got Empire of Light as my number five because it's Roger freaking Deakins. But yeah,
Yeah, I agree because he can, as we saw before Blade Runner 2049, he got nominated a whole bunch,
yeah,
even when it was, it was just like, oh yeah, Deakins. He was he would, even though he had never won, he was like the Streep of
yeah,
cinematography. Oh, he did
exactly. Yeah,
something? Let's nominate him.
yeah.
So we only have one disagreement in that you're back in All Quiet on the Western Front, and I'm back in Black Panther, which is,
But do you have Top Gun?
oh, I don't have Top Gun. Wait, what do you not have? Did you have Avatar on your list?
No, I don't have Avatar.
That was it. Okay. Yeah. So I guess for me, I think the precedent has been set with Avatar. Like for the first one to win and then the second one not to be nominated is too much of a jump. If the first one hadn't won, then I might have taken it off my list. And I also think that Top Gun, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, your reasoning for putting it on is just how they shot the movie. Like it's not necessarily one of those
Yeah,
things that you're appreciating the framing or the
I think
lighting.
it's very well shot though. Like I think
I
it's
agree.
very visually appealing.
Yeah, I agree, but I think as far as why you're putting it on your list, it's more the actual act of shooting the movie. And
I
I
think that's a big part of it. Yeah,
and I look at something like Free Solo, which some people
but that's
got
a documentary, and that wasn't getting into
through, but it's the
picture.
same
And
thing of like we're honoring the actual act of getting this on film, and that was an Oscar winning film. So, and whether it was the documentary thing stopped people,
wasn't top five in picture.
that is true. But I don't know. I think with Top Gun, I just like I can't put three of the sequels in there, and I just have too much confidence in the other
Yeah,
two. I think Avatar, again has the precedence, and then Black Panther, I just think
I don't
looks.
know about Black Panther. I
I
think it'll get a good amount of tech noms, but cinematography, there are a few shot. I mean, it looks very well shot, but the first trailer surprised me more with the cinematography than the second one. I just don't think. I think when they think of the Marvel movies technical, that they're going to honor it in these categories. I think cinematography and especially that branch, which as we see in the nominations, they're black and white movies. They're maybe a little more artsy fartsy than say the visual effects branch. So I don't think a Marvel movie is something that they would want to honor.
I mean, we'll
Personally,
see. I just think that the shots there, it's definitely a class above the average Marvel movie.
it
Um,
is. Yeah,
so and yeah, so I think that if I have to pick two of the three sequels, I'm gonna lean Black Panther just because I think Top Gun, it's 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 more traditional, and I think there are other places to honor what you're talking about like the act of shooting those sequences, those aerial sequences. There are other places to honor that than cinematography.
true. Honorable mentions: Bardo. I think very possible from the trailer. Looks very visually well done. So I think that would be my number 6. Then I would also mention Avatar, Tar, which we'll be talking about a little bit. Very well shot. Also, I don't know if it's gonna get nominated. And then Elvis, just because I'm an Elvis stan apparently. Yeah,
I would love if Tar got it, but I think it spends too much time indoors, I think, for it to.
yeah, and it's a little cold, shooting wise. Not
It's beautiful. This
yeah,
especially some of the surrealist scenes when you
it's
know
beautiful.
dreams. It's a beautiful film.
It is. It is. Next up, best film editing. Speaking of Top Gun Maverick, I have that at number 1 right now. I think it's going to win, as we talked about last year. The sound correlation, very strong, very strong. Number 2, Fablemans. It's getting into picture. It's going to be one of your front runners. I think that's going to happen. 3, Babylon. It's going to be same deal. The tech movie. 4, I'm not super confident in this, but Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think the editing in that is so noticeable, and like I just can't even imagine trying to like edit that movie, like all the single frames of like as she's going through the multiverse by each second. How do you edit that?
I
How
have
does
it on
Premiere Pro
I
not
have it on my list.
crash?
It's the same. Yeah, if you've ever edited on
How does it not
Adobe,
crash?
I don't know how they did it. I've made movies. I've made features on Adobe. It is,
On like
and
the
it's a good,
largest computers possible, and it
it's a
still
good product.
crashes.
But my God, I don't know how.
It's amazing.
I once made. I was making a musical, and we had edited the first musical sequence, and as soon as we were done, it crashed, and we had to redo it, and
Oh my
it
god.
was hilarious. Um,
Adobe. I want to see the timeline too, their whole
they
layout
they
for
maybe I can find it.
they post that.
They posted the
Oh,
picture of the timeline,
it's
and I
messy, I'm sure.
retweeted at them or quote tweeted, excuse me. But what you're saying, I have it on my list, but I'm also like, I have such a mental image of like
It
them
could miss.
just missing and it being one of those ones that it misses and everybody goes, you idiot.
Yeah. I have
Um,
faith in the editors though that they would, as
yeah.
editors themselves, enjoy that. But then my number 5 is classic showy crazy editing. Elvis is my number 5.
We have the same five.
You have Elvis in there.
I do.
Wow. Do you have Elvis in picture now?
Give
I
me a
mean, it's
couple weeks.
getting into
It'll get there. It'll
editing.
get there eventually,
Join the
maybe.
Elvis train. It's happening.
Lord have
A
mercy.
slow process, but
But yes, I agree with everything you said. I think it's that
yeah.
five. I currently have Babylon as number one, but I think Top Gun being number one is also a worthy choice.
Possible. And then honorable mentions, so close to putting All Quiet on the Western Front on there, but did not. Don't think that's gonna happen. Also, Women Talking doesn't seem super edity, but it's a picture contender, so
And it
also
could power
possible.
the dog its way to a best film
Yeah,
adaptation. That's possible.
yeah, and that's really it. Honorable mention wise, that I would say. Quickly, best sound. This is a rather easy one. Number 1 is obviously Top Gun Maverick. It's gonna win. Other ones, Elvis. It's a musical. All Quiet on the Western Front. It's a war movie. Babylon. It's gonna have a lot of crazy sounds. And 5, I have The Fablemans. It's
Oh, interesting. You have the Fableman.
filmy. I was considering Black Panther, but I put The Fablemans.
Can you run down your list one more time?
Top Gun, Elvis, All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, The Fablemans.
Um,
I
yeah.
also considered The Batman, but I did not put it
I'm really struggling now that we have such a franchise genre
on lineup.
interested list this year. How where the Batman sneaks in if it's gonna sneak in. Obviously, we don't think it's
Yeah,
gonna in the top.
makeup. It'll get makeup. I would hope.
Yeah, I guess. Well, actually,
We'll
I
get
mean,
to it, but I would think.
I didn't have it on my list, but now that I think about it, it probably might. I don't know. Best sound. Okay. I think Top Gun Maverick is definitely getting in.
Yeah,
I think
that's your winner.
Babylon is definitely getting in. I think Elvis is a strong contender.
So you have
Uh,
it getting in.
Yeah, I think I have it getting in. Um,
That's
All Quiet
three.
on the Western Front or Avatar? That is the question.
All Quiet. The war movie.
Wasn't the first film a silent movie?
That's even better for it. Look at how they
Yes.
added sound and
But just
improved the
because I'm
movie.
like, I don't know. You're
I
so
haven't
high on
seen the
this
first
movie
one.
as if you've seen it. And I'm just like, I don't know if it's going to be this overall player. 1917 benefited from being Sam Mendes and Roger Deakins. I don't know if this movie is going to have the overall appeal. So I'm going to sub out The Fablemans and All Quiet on your list for Avatar and Black Panther. I think those
Mm.
are better overall technical players. And as we've seen, they like to repeat the same movies all over the list. And Black Panther, I
True.
believe, did Black Panther definitely got
I
one.
don't.
So the first Black Panther got both sound mixing and sound editing nominations. So I
Oh,
think
okay.
for
Okay.
this one. So yeah, I think it's going to be Top Gun winning, and then Babylon, Elvis, Black Panther, and Avatar.
Okay. I'm considering replacing the Fablemans with Black Panther. I just when movies like Power the Dog last year can get in there, sometimes I'm like, sometimes they just like putting picture movies in here, don't they?
Yeah,
Because
but think about it. They because Black Panther will probably be a picture movie. And I
it's
and
my number
first
10, but yeah,
for you, but I think it
number
has a
one.
stronger chance than All Quiet does. I have both on my list currently. But I just feel that Black Panther, whether it's a picture contender or not, is already proven to be a technical player. And All Quiet, like it's a foreign language film. Like, what has a foreign language film been able to jump into these technical categories with the level of proficiency that
That
your
one movie in 2018, what was it called? Cold War?
I mean, Cold War
Got
jumped
cinematography.
it jumped in a couple, but I think sound is a very different because sound and visual effects, I don't know, they those are the categories that tend to always support the blockbusters, but I think will definitely support the blockbusters that have picture recognition. You know,
Yeah,
Star Wars always excelled. So I don't know. I listen, you might be right because we have to wait and see whether All Quiet will really ring true for Netflix. Um, but I just think, you can't deny that the first one, if we're under the impression that this film technically is going to be better than the first, then I think you gotta at least give it all the nominations the first one got, and I think sound would include that.
yeah, that's true. I'm very much considering the Batman now, just because that sound was very good.
It's very good
Um,
because we remember it, but nobody's going to remember it. It's not going to play
yeah,
when they're voting. I think the Batman is going to unfortunately fade away. Um, yeah, because see how the tables have turned. I think we're going to see a reverse of what happened in 2019, where Marvel had their big hit in Avengers Endgame released early in the year, but then DC came in October with Joker, and then it's like we only have room for one comic book movie, and so it all went to Joker. Now we're getting the reverse. DC had the early hit, and now Marvel's going to
yeah,
see last minute. I don't think there's room for both in these type of.
true,
I think they're going to pick one or the other, and I think we all know they're going to pick Black Panther.
true. If I were to replace Fablemans, it would be with Black Panther or Avatar, one of those two. Right now, I'll say Fablemans. But yeah, best
We got
visual effects.
more.
We got time. Yeah, we got time. We got plenty of guild
Yes.
nominations that will aid
I mean,
us.
3 of these movies haven't come out yet
Yeah, that's
on
true.
either of our lists.
Also, shout out. We'll talk about it later, but Tar. I don't know if it has a chance
Oh
here,
my God.
but the use of sound in Tar is
Yes. There are so many categories where I'm like Tar, but I'm like, no, I have to be realistic.
yeah. It
But
should just nominate an animated feature. Just nominate it everywhere. But yeah, visual effects. Number one, Avatar: The Way of Water. It's gonna
yeah,
happen. Number two, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Also,
agreed.
just gonna happen. Number three, Top Gun Maverick. I think
Agreed.
I know their original push was like, oh, this is super practical movie, but apparently there's more than 1,000 shots in the movie that have visual effects in them, and it's a
No,
picture
there's a No
contender.
Time to
So
Die type of
yeah,
play. 1917.
exactly.
It'll be a picture nominee. No, it gets in. It gets in.
Yeah, yeah. Number four, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. First one got in.
Say,
Spider-Man No Way Home got in with similar visual effects. I don't like the movie, but they seem to like the Doctor Strange effects when it's been nominated. And they nominated 2 Marvel movies last year, so they can do it again this year.
You're telling me that you don't like the movie and you think it'll get in. I love the movie and it's not cracking my top
Exactly.
5.
Yep. Yep. And then my last one is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
So then I put the Batman on my list. I'm completely fine jumping to you. Because I would love if
I would prefer the Batman to be nominated.
I know. I think we both have
we have opposite. Yeah.
list.
There's just yeah.
Because the Batman
they've nominated more Marvel movies recently than they have DC movies. But the Batman does have a level of prestige to it. But when you think of visual effects, I don't think of the Batman. I think Doctor Strange is much more of a visual effects.
Well, it's again, it's invisible. You know, the fact how they created Gotham, and there's a lot of visual effects in that movie.
There is, yeah.
Well done. We're Multiverse of Madness, of course. You know, we know these things that Wanda is sending after America Chavez is not real. So
and sometimes they look very not real.
It's that it's not, you know, from this world. I don't know, but I feel like it's down to those 2 for that 5th spot, right? There's nothing.
I don't know. I would say Pinocchio. I would give that a shot. I mean, Kubo and the Two Strings got nominated here. So.
Okay, good. Just making sure you pick the right Pinocchio.
Yeah, no, not Tom Hanks in his whatever that movie was, but I think that has a shot.
I was thinking of that, but I think it
depends how much it's liked.
It's stacked so much in this category. I don't think he'll be able to get in. Doctor Strange or Batman. I mean, I think
it's tricky.
I think the visual effects in Doctor Strange are very good, and I think they are distinct from the first film. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's difficult. I think for now, I'm gonna lean the Batman just because I think the way Marvel's gonna campaign is they're gonna want all the focus on Black Panther. They're gonna want to. I think that the long break, because you got to also remember, like Shang-Chi and Spider-Man, which were the only times they've been able to get 2 nominees in this category, were only 3 months apart. You know, Doctor Strange came out in May, so I think that, and Shang-Chi was probably coming out on Disney Plus and digital around the same time as Spider-Man. So like, I think that I'm thinking I'm gonna stick with the Batman just because I also think that that'll show up in makeup and hair. And I don't think Doctor Strange will probably show up anywhere else. I mean, in my heart, Elizabeth Olsen gets a nomination, but that's not going to happen.
That's a crowded category, sir.
What?
The supporting actress is a crowded category.
I mean, it's crowded, also not crowded. I mean, listen, she's still, for me, she is still my lead, personally, winner of supporting actress. I love that. Yeah, I think for me, I have Cate Blanchett, Daniel Kaluuya, Ki-Hu Kwan, and Elizabeth Olsen as who I would give the Oscar to.
Similar, I would have Cate Blanchett, Austin Butler, Ki-Hu Kwan, and probably Stephanie Sue. Maybe
Nina Hoss is great in Tar.
Nina Hoss also, yeah. Also, I liked Dakota Johnson a lot in Cha-Cha Real Smooth, but
I liked her. I think that whole movie was a little underwritten, but I think she was very good.
She was good, yeah.
But yeah, so if it's Doctor Strange, if you're right, I'll be very happy. But I'm going to bet on the Batman, and the Batman was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, it was incredible. It was incredible. I would much prefer that, to be honest. But a lot of these tech categories also really depend on the bake-offs when they happen, when they all give their presentations on their movies to the actual branch members. So we'll have to see who gives the good presentations. But I'll stick with Doctor Strange. I'm very tempted with the Batman. I wish Nope could get in there, but
I do too.
But Nope.
And you want to talk about Everything Everywhere, and that we do have confidence in that film, in this category?
Visual effects. I don't have confidence in it. I had it at number 4.
Well,
actually, I had it at number 5.
What? So
I don't know. I think
I worry about.
There's a good narrative.
They could as easily toss it off as amateur, but at the same time, there could be what the movie seems to be being regarded as overall. Is like, it's so refreshing to see the spirit of cinema alive in such an unconventional way that I think that, again, given that we predicted to get a Best Picture nomination, it's going to be an all-around player. I do think this will go along for the ride.
Yeah.
But I also, again, like film editing, I would not be surprised if on the day of
Goodness.
nominations it just misses and we're just like, oh my God, but we're like, yeah, but
I'm more confident in it here. I'm not super confident in it either, but here they've got that whole narrative like only 7 people worked on the visual effects for such a low budget, and it still looked pretty dang good.
that means those 7 people could go around, and be like, I don't know. I feel like it's such a different vibe than all of these other visual effects teams that like that could help them. Like
Yeah,
it's one of those things where, and this is the case for everything everywhere on my ballot. I think it could, in so many categories, it could either win or not even get nominated.
yeah. I mean, Matt Neglia did just share he was at an Academy screening earlier today, of Next Best Pictures, who Matt Neglia is. An Academy screening of Everything Ever All at Once, and he said a lot of the crowd had not previous seen the film, and he heard at the end of the movie lots of positive chatter. So we'll have to see.
Well, again, as we've said, the ending is so strong that that's what you're going to remember the movie for. Hopefully, it's going to do well in screenings where you kind of have to sit to the end. I'm worried about when it's
Screeners.
your screeners, and you're watching it alone at home if you get to the end.
True. Best costume design. Number one, in between 2 different movies, I'll say Elvis. I'm gonna have Elvis number one, just because I think her name's Catherine Martin. Previous time she's worked with Baz Luhrmann, I think she's been nominated all but once. She's won multiple times before, and Elvis has some incredible costumes. Number 2, Babylon, very possible, but Mank didn't win costumes, so I don't think this will win costumes. Number 3, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. First one won, so yeah, it'll get nominated. Number 4, this is tricky. Number 4, The Fabelmans, I'll say.
Oh, okay.
I'll say The Fabelmans. I mean, it's period. Yeah, it's a period piece. I'll say The Fabelmans. Number 5. I mean, there are like you could see like a Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris for some reason pop up in here.
That was such a sweet movie.
Just because I forget who did the costumes, but they've been nominated a ton of times before.
I think it was Mark Bridges. Let me look it up. Who did Phantom Thread? If that name popped out of nowhere for me, I'm gonna be very impressed with myself.
That would be
Mrs. Harris. If you haven't seen Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, it is a lovely
I
movie.
haven't.
It was
from the trailer, looks like the costume design is pretty good.
Costume design. Jenny Beavan, excuse me.
Oh, well, that's also a big
one for Cruella and Mad Max Fury Road. So
yeah, an icon. I'd just say look out for it. It would be in my 6 to 10 range, but yeah, I would have Elvis, Babylon, Black Panther, Fabelmans, and then Woman King. I think that movie is strong enough.
I played with Woman King. I played with it a little. I have Black Panther, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Babylon,
interesting.
Babylon, Elvis, and Woman Talking.
Oh, okay. I could see that. I just think
that's period.
Yeah, it's kind of period. It takes place in like 2012.
Yeah, but well then
the costumes are
they look very traditional.
It's in I forget, like an Ammonite or some kind of village. But yeah, I would. Yeah, who do you have winning? Did you have Babylon winning?
It's very difficult because we haven't seen a lot of Babylon. The costumes, we can only those very quick cuts in the trailers.
It looks good.
I'm gonna lean because I think it's got to win something, and I think that there's so much variety and it's co-color. I'm gonna lean Black Panther for costume design.
Okay, I can see it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Black Panther, best production design. Number 1, following the Mank route, Babylon winning best production design. Also, the Once Upon a Time in the Hollywood route. They like their old Hollywood sets. More accurate. Yeah. 2, Elvis. It's Elvis. I believe also, I forget who it is, the production designer on this movie, who's also previous work with Baz, has been nominated multiple times before. And it's period.
Carry around his posse.
Yeah, he's a good tech support guy.
Oh yeah.
Number 3, Fabelmans. It's also a period piece, and it's a big picture contender.
It could, because I'm not as confident in my 5 spot, but
yeah. Then I have Black Panther at my number 4 spot, and then my last spot, I'll say All Quiet on the Western Front, just because
So,
1917. Yeah. I mean, based on how it looks in the trailers, there's some impressive production design in that movie. So,
we agree, except on that fifth spot for me. I think the Fablemans could get in, but currently I have Nope.
nope. Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, I
I
think
would
that
love to see that.
yeah, give the ranch and the Jupiter's what was it? Jupiter's Claim, the theme
Yeah.
park. I think it's just um
It's very well done.
I think it's well done. I think I don't know. I was playing with it with sound too. I think it could maybe get in for sound in a surprise.
I wish. Yeah.
Uh,
Those
but
screams still echo.
that's also a hopeful thing because I want Nope to show up somewhere. You know, it's my
Me too.
second favorite movie of the year currently, and I'm like, come on, get in somewhere.
It
So,
deserves it, but it sadly didn't do amazingly, and it released in July.
so we'll see. But you know, it appeals to that Academy who loves movies contingent. So
True.
we shall
I would also look out for Bardo, based on the trailer again. Looks like really good production design. That would be my number 6. Very possible. Also, I mean, I personally don't get it, but lots of people seem to be predicting Avatar here. Just because when you look at the on-set shooting of that movie, it's like a few pieces of production and then just a giant like square of blue screen. And I just personally am like, that's visual effects when you're creating the production. Then if most of it
don't
is,
get me started because I still, again, as I said, 1917 should have won Best Film Editing because that's the visual effect that
yeah,
was awarding. So
maybe if
listen,
the branch just voted on the winners as well, but everyone gets to vote on the winners. So
um, shall we
yeah,
move on to Best Makeup and Hairstyle?
we shall. Speaking of which, Elvis winning another Oscar here. Elvis,
You think it's gonna?
it's my number 1. It transformed not only Tom Hanks, but also towards the end transformed
That's
Austin
true. Yeah.
Butler. And I'd like, as we saw with Eyes of Tammy Faye, Darkest Hour, movies that are going to win in leading actor with a lot of makeup or with some makeup at some point. Because I also have Austin Butler winning, so I think it should win makeup. Also, number 2, very possible, The Whale could win just because I think it's really who you have winning best actors, who you have winning best makeup,
I
probably.
agree. I think it'll be a two-hander. And
Yeah.
that those are my top 2. I think it's Elvis and The Whale.
Yeah. Yeah. It really depends on who you have winning actor. I think they'll go hand in hand.
The thing that helps with Elvis is that the makeup will not be as controversial as it is with The Whale. So that's just one thing to keep in mind is that we can talk about Tom Hanks, which is the physical transformation, but it'll get nominated just as much for not only Austin Butler as Elvis, but how he grows as Elvis and how he
And
ages.
you can, they like with the makeup, as we've seen like Bombshell, Darkest Hour, Eyes of Tammy Faye, they like when you can compare it to a real life person, how much they transformed into an actual person, which is not something in The Whale. Yeah, something you cannot do with The Whale. But those are the top 2. Then the Batman, just because that Colin Farrell transformation is insane. I personally might even, if I were a voter, I would maybe even vote for this. Well, they'll remember Colin Farrell and the amazing year he's had because he'll be nominated. So yeah, I think that'll get in there. 4, Babylon. It's gonna be a tech. It's gonna get nominated. And then 5, Black Panther.
Interesting, because the Black Panther that would lean more hairstyling, which they tend not to lean in.
Well, there's a lot of makeup on their faces too. I mean, it's not like transformational makeup, but I mean there's that new Atlantean tribe of people who have all blue features.
Yeah, but is that visual effects or is that makeup? I don't know.
I mean, once again, is it production design or is it visual effects? How much do they truly notice?
That's interesting because I was playing with Everything Everywhere in that.
I think part of that is makeup. It has to be for the blue people.
I was putting Everything Everywhere in my 5th spot.
I would love to see that. I like a lot of the makeup in that movie. I just, once again, that's a lot of tech nominations for Everything Everywhere. I don't think it's that strong.
Well, yeah, let me see how many. So I have 1 visual effects, makeup, costume design, editing, and then screenplay. That'd be 5, right? I'm doing the math right. Screenplay would be 5.
Yeah.
Actress, supporting actor, picture. That would be 8 nominations for Everything Everywhere.
I see Everything Everywhere as like a 5 to 6 nomination haul, personally.
We didn't mention it could also sneak into sound too. I think
it could, but once again, I don't have faith in them liking the movie that much.
Yeah, I know. I just it's good to mention in case it happens.
No, it is. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, okay. Then again, like Doctor Strange, I might lean in your way, but I just for variety, I'll keep everything everywhere. But
Mm,
I support Black Panther everywhere else, so it's fine. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Okay.
music. You want to do music?
Yeah, let's do score. Where number one, John Williams is doing probably what, besides Indiana Jones, considered his final score with the Fablemans. And they nominated him for Rise of Skywalker when that was just previous movie music he had done before. So they do like him.
It's an
But
original.
some,
I
but
can
there,
hum.
there, us that could have been nominated. That was one of the best scores that year. But regardless, I don't have him winning this year just because from what I've heard, the score is not anything remarkable. Who I do have winning is someone who just won recently, Hildur Guðnadóttir. I'm sorry for the mispronouncing her name and she's also got a doubleheader this year. She's got Women Talking and Tar. So people are gonna be like, wow, you're doing incredible work this year. And I have her winning for Women Talking. So I have that as my number one. Babylon could also very likely win here. Number two. Fablemans is my number three. John Williams could have a nostalgia factor. Number four, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It won for the previous one, and they do like names that they've seen before, especially in the score category. Speaking of which, would make my number five someone who they just love nominating, Alexandre Desplat for Pinocchio.
Interesting. Okay. Um, I have the Fablemans. This is not in
Yes,
order
yeah,
because I think it's too early. We haven't heard some of these scores. Fablemans,
true.
Women Talking, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Avatar: The Way of Water, I
Yeah,
think.
possible.
Um, what were the ones on your list that I didn't mention?
Women Talking, Babylon,
Bab-
Fablemans, Black Panther, Pinocchio.
Babylon and Pinocchio. Who did the music for Babylon?
I
Is it
think
just
it's Justin Hurwitz. Yeah.
missed out on First Man, which makes me think he's possible to
Yeah, but
miss
that
out.
wasn't an overall contender. This
That's
is. And this is
uh,
old timey Hollywood music.
uh
If you're between those two, I would say Babylon.
I mean, it's not. I wasn't between those two. I had Empire
Oh,
of Light on my list.
oh wow.
For Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who just won for Soul.
Yeah. Also possible.
Do I want to lean Babylon?
I would lean Babylon.
I think yeah, I think I'm gonna lean Babylon.
Yeah, yeah. Also shout out to Tar, but I don't believe that would be eligible for original
I
score.
believe it's eligible, but I think people are going to be confused of what she wrote and what is existing.
Yeah,
That they won't. She's already covered with Women Talking, so she'll be fine.
yeah, yeah. That'll be a trickier situation. But yeah. And also shout out to The Batman, incredibly composed by Michael Giacchino.
Yes.
Also recently directed a short film that was also very good. Yeah.
Short film.
Short film, 55 minutes. Actually like 45 minutes. But yeah. Pretty good stuff.
On to our original song.
God, this is impossible to predict this far out just because we don't really know what's gonna
I
happen.
feel very good about this list. I don't know about you. I think
Okay.
this list. I
Okay.
have.
Well, what I have is whatever song is the most popular on the Black Panther soundtrack winning is my number one, whichever one that ends up being. Number two, I have Lady Gaga for Hold My Hand. Then I've got Natu Natu for RRR. I think that movie will get support somewhere. And that song also a catchy tune. We'll get in here. Then I have Nobody Like You from Turning Red. I'm not super confident in that, but that's a song that I have heard, so I can say that it's going to be a contender. So yeah. And then lastly, I have New Body Ruma from White Noise. I forget the band's name, but it's their first song in a long time. And people who have seen the movie say that I think it's a credit song, I'm not sure, but say it's like very, very catchy and it was one of like their favorite parts. So I have that. And also shout out Taylor Swift. I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. Where the Crawdads Sing. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I would like to see it. I'd like to see
You know what the song is called?
the Carolinas or something. Carolina Swifter.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Something Southern.
Yeah, I think like her performance in Amsterdam, I don't think it'll stand a chance.
It'll get run over.
Okay, run over. I didn't want to stay in case people I didn't see it.
That clip is everywhere.
Oh my god. Okay, we
No
agree on
one's
the
seeing
top,
the movie, rightfully so.
on the top four. But
Okay.
listen, you pay attention to this category long enough. Whether it's stand up for
Oh, there's a
something,
Diane Moore song. I forgot about that. There is, yeah.
in what movie?
I forget what it's called. Oh, that wasn't your number five.
No, that's not my number five.
Oh, I forget what it is, but there is a
Yeah,
Diane Warren song that's here.
maybe you can look it up. But
Yeah.
you pay attention to this category long enough, and whether it's Stand Up for Something from Marshall in 2017, if it's the song Hear My Voice from The Trial of the Chicago Seven, or whatever song her won for Judas and the Black Messiah, it's whether it's I think it was called Stand Up from Harriet. There's always that, you
That
know, connected to the civil rights movement, or a song that is associated to a movie, one of these like racial justice films that gets nominated. So I'm going to support Stand Up from Till as getting the fifth spot.
Oh, I could very much see that. Yeah. The
I think
Diane
it fits that list of like those like civil rights anthems from these movies that all play over the credits of the film.
Yeah, I mean there were like four of them nominated in 2020 with like One Night in Miami, Judas and the Black Messiah, Trial of Chicago 7. So they like that brand of song. Um,
Exactly.
so that's also very possible. The Diane Warren song is called Applause from the movie Tell It by a Woman, or Tell It Like a Woman. I don't know the movie starring Cara Delevingne, but
I
it's a
don't think
Diane Warren.
Ellen knows the movie.
Yeah, no, she probably does not. But yeah, I would look out for that also, just because it's Diane Warren.
And we have to see about Black Panther, because I think it's gonna be very hard to take it away from Lady Gaga. I think not only is she gonna, because you got to remember, Hold My Hand, she got a score credit because they use that so often in the movie. It's becomes part of this. It's the theme of the movie. So I think that that song more than any other of these songs. And
But
I
we haven't
just
heard the Black Panther songs.
what we haven't heard them, but I still I we
Kendrick
let's
Lamar can make a
imagine they
mean
let's
soundtrack.
let's imagine they operate in the same way that the first film operated. I don't know. I just think we're gonna get another year of Lady Gaga beating the Black Panther song.
I don't want to see it happen. I don't want to see it happen.
Sorry.
Nothing
Gaga
against Lady Gaga.
eyes.
Yeah, yeah. She knows how to campaign, unless it's for House of Gucci, then she went a little too far. But
Listen, she
if
campaigned the
there's
hell out of. She did as much as she could based on that movie, and she did a fine job.
yeah, if there were 100 songs that could be nominated, she would be one of them. Um, but she won't be the winner. She won't be the winner. She will be the runner-up. But
I
yeah,
think she will win.
we'll see. I ain't
I'm
worried about it right now.
right now on live television, live YouTube vision.
Live, except released the day later.
Okay.
But yeah, animated feature. Pinocchio is winning.
Yes, I agree.
Guillermo del Toro. Disney does not have a strong contender this year. So yeah, Pinocchio is winning. I think Disney's strongest contender, my number two, Turning Red.
Agreed.
Especially for Pixar. Number three, My Father's Dragon. Cartoon Saloon has not they've never missed for all the movies they've made in animated feature. I believe this is our fourth film. Just recently screened, got very positive reviews.
What were their other three?
I don't know. You'd have to look them up. I personally haven't heard about them until I've heard about them. I just forget their movies. But they haven't missed. I believe this is their fourth, so I think they're gonna go
What's it
four for
called?
four. My Father's Dragon. I think it's from the Cartoon Saloon animation people. So that's my number three. Strange World, number four. It's Disney. It's gonna release during Thanksgiving. I don't think it will have the Encanto path because I don't think it looks that strong personally. But I think it'll still get in there just because of that. And number five.
Oh, they did Wolfwalkers.
Wolfwalkers, yeah.
But
And
this
two
is
other.
very, look at the poster. This is very like,
Yes, it is very like children's book looking, but
but
they
that's not,
haven't missed.
it has the screenwriter of Inside Out, so we'll see.
That's good. That's good. So yeah, that's my number three. Then I've got Strange New World, and then I'll put Wendell
Strange
and
World,
Wild.
Strange New World. Strange New World
Oh
is
yeah,
something.
what is Strange New World? Oh, that's a Star Trek thing. Yeah, just Strange World. Um, and then number five, I have Wendell and Wild, which I think some mixed reviews, but I think it'll still be strong enough. I would say look out for either Puss in Boots, surprisingly, or The Bad Guys, just because I wouldn't be shocked, but I would be kind of surprised if the lineup is just Netflix and Disney. There's not
Listen,
one other studio that can like hoop in there.
yeah, listen. when The Boss Baby and Ferdinand cracked the list, anything's possible.
That is
Up
very
against
true.
Lego Batman missed out that year, so
They
anything's
just don't
possible.
like those Lego movies.
I do not. I also Pinocchio in the lead, then Turning
Yeah,
Red, then Strange
yeah.
World, then Wendell and Wild, which of course is directed by Henry Selick, who did Coraline and The Night
Mm-hmm.
Before Christmas, so he's proven.
Produced by Jordan Peele.
Yes. And then I have Puss in Boots in my fifth spot just because the first one got nominated. That, of course, was the
Starring Florence Pugh.
came out. So there was an open spot available to them because Pixar
Yeah.
had claimed it. But yeah, I have Puss in Boots. I think the animation style looks creative and inventive, and I think I think again, as you said, it's not just going to be Disney and Netflix. So I think DreamWorks will work its way in there.
Yeah. Or The Bad Guys. That's also DreamWorks. Did very well. Got good reviews. Marcel the Shell's Shoes On is not happening, people. I'm sorry.
I know. I feel like that's unfortunate because I want that to get into screenplay, honestly. But yeah,
It would be nice.
I
But
think Puss in Boots being the more recent release will benefit.
that would that would help.
Okay, these next
Documentary.
we're just guessing.
Yeah, that's very true. Documentary. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed has all the festival buzz, very, very positive buzz. It won at freaking Venice, which is like high remarks. So because it's such a front runner, I do not have it getting. Well, no, I have it getting nominated. I don't have it winning. I have winning Fire of Love, which is doing very well at the box office in its limited release. I think it's expanding. Got very good reviews, and it seems like the kind of documentary that the Academy would like. It's very personal. It seems kind of maybe at points, maybe I haven't seen it, maybe cheesy. It's about love. Yeah, so I think it's kind of like and fire and love, not fire and blood, fire and love. Yeah, so I think that seems like the kind of thing that they would go for. So I have that winning. It's kind of like in my octopus thing, you know. Number 2, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed. 3, Navalny, a very important documentary about everything with like Russia and stuff, you know. I have seen that one. It's good. It's very good. Some of the crazy stuff goes down in the world, you know. Number 4, Descendant, got very good buzz at the places it screened, so I think that's gonna get nominated. 5,
Descendant. They're nominating the Disney Channel
no,
documentary about how they made.
Singular, not plural. Sorry, singular.
Sorry, Def Jam.
Yeah, no, not gonna happen. And then number 5, Moon Age Daydream. It's about you know, very famous
I toyed with
individual.
that. I wonder how, you know, because there's so many of those
This one got good reviews, so
documentary features that are about the lives of these music stars or any star. So we'll see. I have your list except All That Breathes, which is a film that I heard
I
got some
could see that. Yeah.
instead of Moon Age Daydream. But you know, it's David Bowie, man. So could
Do you
happen.
think people will mix up All the Beauty and Bloodshed and All That Breathes?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
I think it could happen.
I feel like we gotta wait and see.
Maybe that's how the front runner gets snubbed. People are voting for All That Breathes, but they think they're voting for All the Beauty and Bloodshed.
Remember there was like the year of like there was some in like the short categories, which thank goodness we're not. Some of these shorts might not even be
You cannot
made
predict that until like
the
the
day
week
before.
before. Yeah, no.
But I feel like let me look it up. In like the short categories in 2019, there were like 2 similar titles.
There were. I forget what they were, but I know what you're talking about.
Um, let's see if I can pull this really quick.
I know there's also the Sydney documentary that came out. That's a talking head doc, which they don't like. So yeah, I wouldn't have that getting nominated. I can't really think of any other major contenders, so I'm pretty confident in that 5, if I must admit. Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to find this because it's going to drive me crazy if I don't discover what it was.
Maybe Goodnight Oppie. I also heard good things about that, so I would look out for that. That would be my number 6, actually.
Oh, this was it.
Oppie.
There was Brotherhood and then A Sister, both nominated in live action short. So, and then there was Sister, Best Animated Short Film. In 2019, there was A Sister in live action short, and then Sister in animated short, along with Brotherhood in live action short. So that and
that's confusing.
So but they got nominated.
None of them won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
International. I have
Come
All
on.
Quiet on the Western Front.
Yes.
Probably have Bardo.
Winner.
Decision. I think that could win. Or All
Bardo,
Quiet if it gets a Best Picture nomination.
interesting.
Decision to Leave, Corsage, and Boy from Heaven.
Similar, All Quiet on the Western Front, Decision to Leave, Close from Belgium, very good reviews. Bardo, and Saint Omer from France. That's what I currently have.
I put Corsage just because it has Vicky Krieps, who was in Phantom
Yeah,
Thread. So I think that might, when there's a star that Hollywood recognizes, I think that helps.
that
Uh,
could very much help.
so yeah.
Those are
Uh,
the tech categories.
Categories. We'll do a quick little review of Tar. I will be editing a review for my channel. Jack already gave his thoughts, but
I posted my thoughts. Yeah,
yes. We
it's my
both
favorite movie of the year.
Yeah, we both think this is the best
Easy.
year, and we probably both think that nothing is going to come close to this, I imagine.
It's just
Uh,
it's like I don't know. I think this will relate with a very specific kind of audience and probably the kind of audience who is watching this video. People who it's about like it's a character portrait of a an artist who is so passionate with pursuing a perfection that they like compose their own downfall. She's not a very likable character, which is what I will say is my only thing that has me worried about her win wise, just because
Neither
they
was
don't
Daniel
like
you, and There Will
yeah,
Be
but
Blood.
especially with women, as we see with the Emmys too, they
I
don't
agree. I
like
think, but
unlikable women.
so good that she rises above
No,
that.
I think she's I honestly I said in the review, I think she's gonna be a sweeper this season.
I think it's an
I don't
incredible.
think anyone who can stop her. It's one of the best performances I've seen in a long, long time.
It's one of the best films I've seen in years. I think
Yeah,
this profound. It was
totally.
a profound experience to see this film. I think it manages to explore the volatility and how reactive our culture is, and the danger in holding everybody to purity tests that nobody can actually pass. But at the same time, talking about the culpability of powerful individuals, what we sacrifice to build up those powerful people, and also the awareness of those who are powerful, how they lose their awareness, how they lose their senses. Seeing her, Lydia Tarr, as played by Kate Blanchett, devolve in this film and start to lose her wherewithal. It's just captivating to see. It's the type of movie
It's
that
incredible.
the camera's in so many interesting places and doing so many interesting things, but it's so in the back of your mind, all the technical things, because you're so engrossed with the story. It completely redefined, for me at least, what film is capable of in this era.
Hmm.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought the ending was surprisingly sympathetic and
Yeah,
endearing. This was just brilliant, absolutely,
I
positively.
need to see it again, but I can't. I can't travel another 2 hours to go see this movie. I should have
Yes.
just stayed and watched it a second time. But yeah, that's how
No,
much I was excited for this movie. I planned in advance to travel 2 hours to New York City to see this movie, and it lived up and surpassed those expectations. So that's a high bar. It's really really good, especially Todd Field. I'm very confident in him getting a director nom now.
oh yeah,
It's just the level of craft and precision and
there's a one
control that
shot at
he
the beginning of the
has.
film that is so, it
It's
not only
insane.
establishes every single thing that the movie's about and what the movie will discuss, but the choreography here, you're just reminded. The way I described it is in on Twitter is that you dream every movie could be Tar, in a way.
Yeah.
Like this is shows you what movies are
It's
capable
just the
of.
peak of cinema,
Yeah, it's
is what it
it's
is.
it's so good. And
And
it will affect you and change the way you perceive
I'm
certain.
still thinking about it. You could like write essays upon essays upon essays about this movie. It's that kind of movie. It's also a little abstract. I love a little abstract in my movies.
It's
Um,
surrealist, it's existentialist, it's everything.
it's perfect. Also, Nina Haas, Kate Blanchett steals the show. Gonna win her third Oscar, very deserving. But Nina Haas also very good in the movie.
You could
Um,
sneak in. You could sneak in like
I
a Marie.
did. I remember I had her in my five when we did our predictions a few weeks ago. I'm not super confident in it still. She still would be my number five just because it's not super showy. She doesn't have a like she's not in the movie like every second like Kate Blanchett is. But she's important to the movie working. And I
Yeah,
think she could get a lot of critic nominations.
everything. It's such a collaborative effort, this film. So yes, please seek it out when it comes near you. See it on the big screen. It's such a fantastic film. And check out our
Kate
separate.
Blanchett is sweeping.
You can check out my review when it goes up this week on Spoilers Ahead with Anthony Post here on YouTube, and you can also follow me at Anthony_post on Twitter and Instagram and Letterboxd.
Yeah. Oscar Film SC on Twitter, right here. Subscribe, like, comment on your thoughts on everything, all the technical categories, or your predictions for that down below. And yeah, Kate Blanchett is coming for that Oscar Ariel. She's sweeping. It's getting into picture. It's getting into director. It's getting into original screenplay, maybe supporting actress. So yeah, go support Tar. Best movie of the year. It's incredible. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.